Okay, let's get into it. We're doing a deep dive today on Apple's, well, massive strategic push into India. Our mission here is to look at the sources, look at the data, and figure out for you, can India really be the next China for Apple? We're talking both consumers buying iPhones and as a huge manufacturing base. And that consumer excitement, you really saw it with the iPhone 17 launch recently. I mean, the reports from the Mumbai Apple Store, the BKC Geo Center one, it wasn't just long lines. People were calling it a frenzy. Hundreds of meters long queues, even some, scuffles breaking out. That's serious demand.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of buzz, it shows up on the bottom line. Now, India is still, a small piece of Apple's total revenue globally, maybe 2-3%, but it's the speed that's catching everyone's eye. Fiscal year 2025 sales reportedly hit nearly $9 billion. That's up 13% in just 1 year. That signals, well, a real turning point.
Okay, so let's talk strategy. Why does everyone keep saying India is the next China? Our sources really hammer this point. They draw these direct economic lines. India's income per person now, it looks a lot like China back in, 2007. And their GDP growth rate right now mirrors China's boom from around 2013 to 2015.
Yeah.
Apple's clearly dusting off that old playbook.
Right, and the brand image plays a huge role in this. You see demand just surging, especially for the really high-end stuff. That ultra-premium smartphone market, we're talking phones over, say, 45,000 rupees, about $510. That segment jumped to get this 37% in a single quarter.
37%. And Apple is sticking to its guns on pricing, right? They are not going down market.
Yeah.
Even the iPhone 16, their sort of entry model, still starts around 60,000 rupees.
Yeah.
So for India's huge young population, very optimistic, owning an iPhone it's a status symbol, a big one.
Yeah.
Just like the iPhone 4 or 5 was in China a decade ago when things were taking off there.
Exactly. That's the consumer side, super important. But the other side of the coin, maybe even bigger strategically, is manufacturing, building that resilience in the supply chain. The value of iPhones actually made in India reportedly hit $22 billion in FY 2025. That's a jump of 60% year on year. 60%. And the really big news, the milestone, is that all 4 iPhone 17 models are apparently set to be made in India and shipped straight to the U.S.
Okay, $22 billion shipping directly to the U.S.
Yeah.
That sounds like mission accomplished. But the sources also highlight some real challenges, some friction.
Yeah.
I mean, moving this kind of complex assembly out of a place like Zhengzhou, iPhone City, that's got to have some bumps in the road, right? What are they hitting up against on the ground in India?
Oh, definitely. The biggest things are probably efficiency and quality control, yield rates. So think about the giant Foxconn plant in Zhengzhou. Their yield rate, the percentage of perfect phones coming off the line is incredibly high, like 97%. Indian factories, they're getting there, but they're currently averaging more like 93%.
4% doesn't sound like much, but at Apple scale.
Exactly. That 4-point gap is massive. It means potentially millions more flawed units. And what that means practically is they still have to rely quite a bit on outside engineers, specialists, basically flying them in to oversee things and keep standards up. That slows down the process of, local teams fully taking over, adds complexity.
So it's not just putting the final pieces together. It's the whole support system, the ecosystem around it. We're hearing that key parts aren't made locally yet. They can't quite stand on their own feet.
That's a huge piece of it. They're still flying in a lot of the really critical, high-value components, things like the main chips, those advanced OLED screens, the camera modules. They're still coming via expensive air freight from that China, Korea, Japan manufacturing triangle. That adds cost, obviously, and it still leaves them vulnerable to disruptions.
Right. And the last big hurdle mentioned is just basic infrastructure.
Yeah, you can't overlook that. We've seen executives mention it. India's roads, ports, the overall logistics network, it's improving, but it's still not quite at the level needed for the sheer volume and speed of high-end electronics manufacturing. If you can't move parts in and finished goods out smoothly and quickly, well, you haven't fully built that alternative to China's established infrastructure. Not yet.
Okay, let's pull this all together. For you listening, what this tells us is Apple's India strategy is really 2 vital things at once. It's absolutely key for their long-term sales growth, tapping into that next big wave of consumer spending. And just as importantly, it's about building supply chain resilience, making India a crucial second hub.
And thinking bigger picture, this rise of the Indian consumer, the Indian market, it's not just about Apple's sales figures. It's shifting global dynamics, which leads to maybe a final thought for you to consider. How quickly will this growing importance of India, fueled by its strong economic prospects, start to really change how investors think about and value all the big multinational companies that rely on global consumers, not just Apple, but everyone? When does that sentiment truly shift?